Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about communication with your spouse when you are apart. And this is going to be a military chit chat, and it is a collaboration with another YouTube military wife, and I'm going to let her introduce herself right now.
Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. On my channel you will find vlogs, you will find cleaning videos, a little bit of cooking, a little bit of organizing, as well as advice on things that I've learned as a military wife, which is what this video is. I hope that you'll come over to my channel and check it out.
Okay, you guys, without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into it. I am just going over 5 points that I think are really effective when communicating with your spouse when they are apart from you. Now, so just a little bit of background information about me. I was active duty at one point, and my husband was a reservist. So at that time, I was stationed in Germany and he was in Puerto Rico. So we lived that way for about 2 years, and at the time we were engaged. And then after that, I went to Puerto Rico and we got married. And in between that time, we have been through countless trainings. I have been, on trainings that never lasted longer than 2 weeks. He would be in Virginia, I would be in California for a few weeks. He has traveled to Florida, and he's been there for about 30 days or so. We have been to the field so many different times, been separated by that. When my husband had to go to, I think they call it BLC now, but back when I was in the service, they called it WLC. That lasts for the basic leadership course. When I was in, we called a warrior leadership course. That was like over 10 years ago. But so that lasts for about 30 days. We've been through a deployment. He has had, at one point in time, he was activated when he was in the National Guard for a short period of time. So, honestly, we have been together for 13 years. We will be married 12 years in July. And I can say for the amount of our marriage, we probably spent at least 3 years apart from each other, not consecutively, but if you add it all up, we probably have spent 3 years apart from each other. And I just want to go over some things that I felt that were really effective as far as communication is concerned when you're far apart. So I'll just jump right into it. My first thing is the ways to communicate, which I think most of us know. And in this day and age, technology is constantly advancing. It's pretty easy to communicate with each other. It's not World War II times where you have to wait for letters. But we have different type of apps. There's WhatsApp, there's Facebook Messenger. If you and your spouse have different Facebook pages, there's Skype. That's what I used when he was deployed. The telephone, just all sorts of ways that you all can connect with each other immediately. When my husband was deployed, I sent him care packages quite a bit. He sent me things when I was in Germany. So of course there's that. There's snail mail if you want to do that, just simple letters. I still think it's sweet. We did do that for quite some time. We did write each other letters back and forth. I thought that was really cute. I still like doing it. Even though we live together, I still like to write letters just to be sweet. But anyway, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but that is one way to communicate, and I think that we all know those ways, and they're pretty simple to do. The second thing I want to jump into as far as helping with communication would be to be flexible. A lot of the times that me and my spouse were separated, we had different time zones. So when I lived in Germany, and I would be getting ready to go to work, he would be getting off of work, and I can't remember what the time zone was or what the hour difference. I can't remember, but it was a huge amount of time. So we had to be flexible as far as our communication. Sometimes, I went to work, I worked shifts. So just depending, sometimes I went in at 4:30. Sometimes I had a night shift. I worked in a hospital. So we had to be flexible with each other about the sleep that we needed and also making time for communication. Sometimes when your spouse is in the field or in their certain places, phones just don't work. So if you do get 15 minutes with them, you've got to be flexible. You've got to be understanding that it is just the way it is, and to always try to make the best of it. I do think that it's really important that you make the communication effective. When you don't have a lot of time, make it effective. I think definitely, you know, let each other know you miss each other, and just go over some key points of your day when it's short and sweet. You know, I think something is better than nothing. I know there are plenty of times where I went for days, and I don't think I've ever been weeks without talking to my spouse, but I've definitely been days, maybe a week tops. So, you know, that 15 minutes means a lot when you get it. This third thing I want to go over is know each other's needs and know your style of communication with your spouse. I'm the type of person, I like to vent. I don't want help. I don't want advice. I'm having a horrible time in the field, and I just want to whine, and I just want to moan about, you know, horrible, you know, water pressure, or that I had to take a bath with the canteen. You know, sometimes I just want to vent. You know, sometimes you just have to be there for your spouse. And, you know, when you're in a field type of situation, you're going to be complaining about the same things over and over again, because it's quite frustrating when, you know, you're accustomed to civilization, and then you go and you don't get it. And sometimes, you know, you're in the elements, sometimes you're not, sometimes you got a tent, sometimes you don't, sometimes you're gonna be eating MREs, sometimes you get a hot meal. So a lot of times when you're communicating with your spouse, you're gonna be communicating about the same old things, and it might get tiresome. So just know their style of communication. Sometimes they need to vent. Sometimes you have spouses that they're very, how would you put it? They just want to know about your day because they like distractions, you know. So like maybe they're having a hard day and they just want you to talk. They just want to hear, you know, that you got your nails done. Maybe they want to hear that, you know, whatever cleaning routine you had that day, because sometimes you do want to get out of what you're going through in, you know, that situation of being away from your family, especially if you're deployed. You know, sometimes you really don't want to go over what you did, you know, that day. You really don't want to talk about it. So sometimes your communication is just simply, you know, giving your spouse something to be distracted about, you know, going through those mundane activities of your day, or even if there's something exciting. One thing that I always did when my husband was gone was I don't want to use the word force, but I did make my kids say hi to dad, even if they're so engrossed in watching, you know, Peppa the Pig or something like that, and they really don't want to get off of it. I did make them take, you know, 30 seconds to say, hi, daddy, you know, I found $1 today. Something really simple, just to have a little bit engagement with the children. Children really don't understand the importance of it. They're, you know, just by nature, they can't help it. They're, you know, just focused on themselves, what they want to do and their feelings. You know, they don't really have empathy yet. They're young. That part will come as they get older and mature. But that is something that in my family that I thought was very important, for him to have even just a couple of seconds of communication with the kids, even if it was something generic as, you know, how was your day at school? I didn't do anything. How was your day, daddy? And, you know, I, you know, went to the range today. Just something small for them to talk about. I think that's really important, just to hear their voice. I think, to me, it matters. So I did make my children have a conversation with their dad, whether they were in the mood or whether they weren't. The fourth thing I want to go over is how do I put it without sounding bad? Sorry, guys. Talk about the mundane. Sometimes, you know, especially when your spouse is deployed, the same subject are going to come over and over and over and over again. Like, it's, you know, because, you know, most of the time our routines are the same. But I still think it's very important to talk about the mundane. I think it's important to say, you know, someone stuck a peanut in their nose again, or, you know, the dog ran away, or I had to walk the dog again today. Like, I think it's important to go through the routine. I think it's important to talk about, you know, just the simple things, the mundane, because every conversation you have is not going to be enlightening. Every conversation you have, you're not going to solve some great issue, or, you know, it's not always going to be the perfect, you know, most satisfying conversation. But I think, you know, that's what a relationship is. You know, you have those highs where things are romantic and things are awesome and things are passionate. And then you have some days where you guys are tired and you're just trying to survive. But it's still important to say, hey, how was your day? I had a salad for lunch again because I like salad. You know, I think it's important to say, I, you know, made meatloaf. I think it's important to go over the mundane things, because a lot of times if you're in a relationship for an extended period of time, the mundane things are going to add up to one big conglomerate of a relationship, of a lifetime. You know, by the time my husband deployed, we were together, what was that? We've been together 12 years. Deployment was 2 years ago. That was 10 years we were together. So, you know, we had a lot of great conversations. We had things, we talked about the kids, but sometimes the conversation was basic. It was all basic. But, you know, it's important. To me, it's important to go through the motions. Don't dismiss it. You know, it's still important. Everything is not going to be super great and super exciting, but it's important to go through that. I feel like, for me personally, I can speak some personal experience. Being in the field sometimes can be a very lonely experience. You know, you're not in the best of mood. The elements sometimes get the best of you, especially for me. I remember being in the field when it was raining. Ugh, it was just depressing. Like, I'm wet, I'm soggy, I'm smelly, I'm cold, you know, and, you know, all I am is looking forward to is that mundane conversation. So I think that's definitely important. And my fifth tip as far as communication is be consistent. Do it all the time. Do it as much as you can. Like, the saying, you don't know what you got until it's gone, is true. Like, be consistent. Like, you know, you might think it's not that big of a deal to skip a phone call or to skip an email or not to answer it or to just blow it off. It's really, really important to be consistent. And I'm not speaking just from a supportive wife role. I know my husband appreciated it, but I'm speaking from the role of being a soldier. Like, that's a part of the routine, and having a routine really, really helps when you're away from family. So be consistent. It really, really matters. So those were the tips that I had for effective communication when you're not with your spouse, and I hope they were helpful. If anyone has anything to add or anything that I missed or any questions, I would love to hear them in the comments. And I want you all to remember to check out Bailey's channel after you're done here. She has a lot of similar content that I do and a lot of useful information as far as the military lifestyle is concerned. So I'll see you guys in the next one.